Hare Krishna, everybody. Somebody wants to lead the invocation prayers, please.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yeah, go ahead.
I can do it.
Yep.
Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjala Shalakaya Chakshur Unmitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swam Padantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutta Padakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagajatam Sagana Raguna Tanvitamscha Sajivan Sadhavetam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Pada Sahagana Lalita Shri Visakamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesa Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishbhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhasya Kripa Sindhu Bhedavecha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna, thank you all for coming. So today we will cover Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 1. We'll try to cover verses 6 to 16, but depending on the discussions that we'll have, we'll be having a very heavy discussion. Depending on the discussion, we'll see if we can reach the verse number 16. Last class was a super fast-paced class because we were trying to set a base and from Canto 1, Canto 2, and the start of Canto 3. From today onwards, going forward, the classes will be at a regular place. So don't be alarmed. There are a couple of new devotees supposed to join, Swati and Manas. We'll see us when they join, and we'll come to that. Normally, we do the recap and you all ask questions. Today, we will skip that because we have a lot to cover today, except one point from the recap. If you want to, somebody wants to explain the connecting link at the start of Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3. Anybody remembers the connecting link? Somebody quickly. What's the connecting link to the start of Canto 3? Somebody wants to try?
First chapter is an introduction to the rest of the book. Second and third, the spiritual knowledge described is called confidential.
No,
Seventh and eighth chapter.
That's not what I'm asking. I'm asking the connecting link for the start of Canto 3 from the previous cantos.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. I can try, Prabhu. I'm not sure if I'm right. Yep. So, Canto 1, we had chapter 1, I think the 13th verse. Vidura had left Hastinapur and met Maitreya Muni, and he returned back to Hastinapur, Prabhu. And Canto 3 is starting with the discussion of Vidura and Maitreya. Rishi?
Okay. Anybody has anything to add?
I think as for me, Sukadev Goswami discusses with PM what Maitreya Rishi and
So you are correct. What Sukadeva Goswami is discussing with Parikshit Maharaj, but what led to Canto 3 is what I'm asking as a connecting link. So let me explain. So in Canto 1, Chapter 1, the sages of Naimisharanya asked 6 questions. One of the question was about the wondrous activities of the Lord. And the creation is one of the activities of the Lord. Creation is described in Canto 2, and then there is a lot more discussion about creation in Canto 3, at least at the start of Canto 3. And the other connecting link is that in Canto 1, before the war, Vidura has left Hastinapur. And then after the war, he has come back to help Dhritarashtra get out of his situation and attain liberation. So the sages towards the end of Canto 2 remembered this also, that Vidura had left the palace of Hastinapur and to meet Maitreya Muni, and because the sages wanted to continue hearing Krishna Katha, therefore the sages also reminded to Sutta Goswami, can you please elaborate the discussion between Vidura and Maitreya Muni, because they are both elevated devotees, so there would definitely be a discussion about Krishna Katha, and we would like to hear that. So these are the two connecting points for the start of Canto 3 in terms of what led to Canto 3. So we'll continue with Canto 3, Chapter 1 from verse number 6 onwards. So this is Part 2, verse 6 to 16, and the title is Circumstances Leading to Vidura Leaving Hastinapur. So we'll read verse number 6 translation, and each of the verse there is a little key point which I will mention for each of the verse, and then the discussion will make a lot more sense. So this verse number 6 is talking about Dhritarashtra's offenses. We'll start with Nitya. Nitya now also has Srimad Bhagavatam at her home, welcomed on the Patra Purnima day. So Nitya will start with Canto 3, Chapter 1, text number 6 translation. So this talks about Dhritarashtra's offenses.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Hare Krishna everyone. Text 6. Sri Sukadev Goswami said, King Dhritarashtra became blind under the influence of impious desires to nourish his dishonest sons, and thus he set fire to the lacquer house to burn his fatherless nephews, the Pandavas.
Okay. So this is the offense. What is the offense of Dhritarashtra against Pandavas? Dhritarashtra had 100 sons, but they were all asadhu. Asadhu means non-devotees. And Dhritarashtra was taking care of his 100 sons by unjustified means. And Dhritarashtra was materially blind as well as spiritually blind. Pandavas were made to enter the house of lack, and the house was set on fire. This was one of the heinous acts of Dhritarashtra. From the small purport, Srila Prabhupada is giving a hint that in modern age, people are spiritually blind. Hence, one cannot expect success in this civilization. Therefore, the preaching of Krishna consciousness right now is very important. The next verse, verse number 7, talks about how Draupadi was mishandled. So let's go. Shalini, if you want to read verse number 7 translation.
Hare Krishna. Text 7. The king did not forbid his son Duhasana's abominable action of grabbing the hair of Draupadi, the wife of godly king Yudhishthira, even though her tears washed the red dust of her breast. Hare Krishna.
So Draupadi was mishandled, and at that time in the assembly where such heinous act was committed, right in front of Dhritarashtra when he was king, Dhritarashtra did not stop his son. And Draupadi was crying, begging for help. So Acharyas have described that Draupadi's tears signify the subsequent cry of the enemy, meaning Draupadi was crying for for being humiliated, as well as Draupadi was crying for the ill fortune of the wives of these people, these enemies. Okay, we'll cover few verses very soon, and then we'll have a lot of discussions. Okay, we'll cover verse number 8. Let's see, Sridhar Prabhu, if our dear Aditi can read, or Kalyani.
Hare Krishna. Yudhishthira, who was born without any enemy, was unfairly defeated in gambling. But because he had taken the vow of truthfulness, he went off to the forest. When he came back in due course and begged the return of his rightful share of the kingdom, he was refused by Dhritarashtra, who was overwhelmed by illusion.
So Yudhishthira had no enemy.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, very good. Yudhishthira had no enemy. Yudhishthira was defeated in gambling by unfair means. Still, Yudhishthira was truthful, and still he went to the forest for 12 years. And after completing the 12 years in forest plus the 1 year staying in incognito, Yudhishthira had the rightful claim to the kingdom. Actual king is Yudhishthira, but Yudhishthira was cheated. And even after fulfilling all agreements of the cheating gambling situation, when Yudhishthira asked for the kingdom back, Dhritarashtra did not return the kingdom. And Krishna came as Shantidut, that instead of the whole kingdom, he asked, just give them 5 villages, because they are Kshatriya, and the only occupation for Kshatriya is to rule. Therefore, give them 5 villages to the 5 Pandavas, but Duryodhana did not agree. Therefore, the fighting was not because of the devotees, because of these Pandavas. Rather, fighting was because of the Kauravas. Kauravas were the culprit of the Kurukshetra war. Verse number 9 describes the Kauravas' piety is dwindling, and there is an analogy of the sugar candy. Radha Shakti, if you want to read verse number 9 translation.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, louder little.
Yes, Prabhuji. Lord Krishna was sent by Arjuna into the assembly as the spiritual master of the whole world. And although his words were headed by some, like Bhishma, as pure nectar, it was not so for the others who were completely bereft of the last parsing of past pious works. The king Dhritarashtra or Duryodhana did not take the words of Lord Krishna very seriously.
Okay. So Dhritarashtra and his sons, their piety was dwindling. When Krishna came to the Hastinapur as peace messenger, as Shantidut, at that time, Krishna gave a beautiful speech. A speech from Krishna's lotus mouth is like nectar. But Dhritarashtra and Duryodhana did not take Krishna's words seriously. On the other side, Bhishma and others, such as Vidura, Dronacharya, some other acharyas present, they understood the values of Krishna's words, that it is nectar. Dhritarashtra and Duryodhana had little piety, and because of this little piety, they had got this kingdom. But still, they did not get any happiness, they did not get any peace, and therefore they could not enjoy. after getting kingdom, remaining inimical to Krishna and Pandavas. Hence, they could not see the values of Krishna's words. Srila Prabhupada gives the analogy of sugar candy in the purport, that sugar candy is sweet. But those with jaundice cannot taste the sweetness of sugar candy. And with this analogy, Prabhupada is explaining that devotees can understand the sweet instructions of Krishna, just as Bhishma and Vidura, the pure devotees, both are Mahajan as well, present in the assembly, understood the sweet instructions of Krishna. Questions, comments, realization so far? Okay. Verse number 10, Mother Chandra Aunty will read translation. So here, the situation is, I'll describe the situation, and from this point on, our conversation will become very heavy. So Krishna has come to Hastinapur as peace messenger before the Kurukshetra war. And in the assembly, Dhritarashtra and Duryodhan, specifically Duryodhan, did not like Krishna's words, did not like Krishna's proposals. And Duryodhan tried to arrest Krishna when Krishna has arrived there as peace messenger. At this time, Krishna showed his universal form in the assembly of Dhritarashtra, where many saw the universal form, like such as Bhishma, Vidura, as well as Duryodhan and Dhritarashtra also saw that universal form. And then Krishna left. So after Krishna left, and because of whatever happened in the assembly, where Duryodhan tried to arrest Krishna, Dhritarashtra was in deep thought that what is going on, that this all is not happened, what all has happened is not correct. So he wanted advice from Vidura. Vidura, as you know, is the minister, brother and minister in Hastinapur, brother of Dhritarashtra and the minister of the kingdom. So this is where this verse is talking about, verse number 10, where Vidura is invited by Dhritarashtra for getting advice, meaning Dhritarashtra is wanting advice from Vidura. Mother Chandra Aunty?
Hare Krishna. When Vidura was invited by his elder brother, Dhritarashtra, for consultation, he entered the house and gave instructions which were exactly to the point. His advice is well known, and instructions by Vidura are approved by expert ministers of state.
Okay. So what Sukadeva Goswami is saying is that the instructions imparted by Vidura to Dhritarashtra in the next three verses, which is 11, 12, and 13, are very well known in politics as Vidur Niti. These next three verses are very, very powerful and have a lot of powerful instructions. And these three verses is going to be one of the crux of our discussion today. And then the next crux will also come. But these three verses in Canto 3, Chapter 1, verses 11, 12, and 13 are the instructions that Vidur gave to Dhritarashtra and are very famously known as Vidur Niti. Let's read these verses one by one, and we'll discuss at great length. Mother Jija, if you want to read verse number 11 translation. So verse number 11 is again talking about Dhritarashtra's offenses.
Text 11 translation. Vidura said, "You must now return the legitimate share to Yudhishthira, who has no enemies and who has been forbearing through untold sufferings due to your offenses. He is waiting with his younger brothers, among whom is the revengeful Bhima, breathing heavily like a snake. Surely you are afraid of him. Hare Krishna.
So just Vidura describes the offenses in brief, that Dhritarashtra has committed offenses against the Pandavas. Okay, let's continue. Next verse number 12, describes that Krishna has accepted Pandavas as the kinsmen, as his kinsmen, meaning Krishna has accepted Pandavas as his own kinsmen. Okay, uncle will read verse number 12 translation.
Hare Krishna. Lord Krishna, the personality of Godhead, has accepted the sons of Pritha as his kinsmen, and all the kings of the world are with Lord Shri Krishna. He is present in his home with all his family members, the kings and princesses of the Yadu dynasty, who have conquered an unlimited number of rulers, and he is their Lord. Hare Krishna.
So Krishna has accepted the sons of Pratha as his own kinsmen. So Vidura gave very good counsel to Dhritarashtra to make political alliance with the Pandavas because of Krishna. Vidura say that fighting with Pandavas is fraught with problems because the universal power, Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Shri Krishna, is behind Pandavas. Therefore, Yudhishthir gave very, very good counsel. But we'll soon discuss and see what happened with this good counsel. Subro Prabhu, if you want to read verse number 13 translation, and we'll have a heavy discussion after this verse. So verse number 13 describes that Dhritarashtra is maintaining offense personified. So this verse number 13 is very instructive, and we'll have a big discussion on this. Subro Prabhu.
Text 13. You are maintaining offenses personified, Duryodhana as your infallible son, but he is envious of Lord Krishna. And because you are thus maintaining a non-devotee of Krishna, you are devoid of all auspicious qualities. Relieve yourself of this ill fortune as soon as possible and do good to the whole family. Hare Krishna.
Okay, Hare Krishna. So Vidura is saying you are maintaining offense personified, meaning non-devotee of Krishna. Therefore, you Dhritarashtra are devoid of all auspicious qualities. And Vidura says, relieve yourself of all this ill fortune as soon as possible, meaning that Vidura is asking Dhritarashtra to kick Duryodhan out of the kingdom. So in the verse, the word Shri is there. Shri refers to opulence, meaning good fortune. So when we talk about good fortune or ill fortune, people cannot think that people can also be regarded as good fortune or ill fortune. So person bringing ill fortune is an ill person, meaning Duryodhan is bringing ill fortune. Hence, Vidura is saying to Dhritarashtra to relieve himself and the family and the kingdom of the ill fortune by giving up Duryodhana. So when Vidura is saying Duryodhan as ill personified, and we all know that Duryodhan is going to be the king. Right now he is the Yuvraj because Dhritarashtra is present. Although Duryodhan was Yuvraj, meaning the king in waiting, but he was already acting as king. And simultaneously, Vidura is a Dasi Putra. Dasi Putra means, so many of you know, all of you should know the history, that when Dhritarashtra and Pandu's mothers, meaning they were sisters, they were married to, I'll repeat, so Dhritarashtra and Pandu, their mother were sisters, and when they had got married, their maid servant had also come with them, and because the father died before begetting a children, therefore Srila Vyasadeva pregnated these two sisters through his glance, not by physical touch. And both of them were afraid. So the first sister closed the eyes, therefore Dhritarashtra took birth as blind. And the second sister became afraid, and therefore Pandu died. And therefore Satyavati, the mother, asked Srila Vyasadeva for one more chance, and the sisters were already afraid, so they sent their maid servant. And from this maid servant, who's the Dasi, Vidura is born. So he is brother of Dhritarashtra and Pandu, but because he is Dasi Putra, therefore he cannot be king. Therefore, Vidura is made as the prime minister. So now I have a question for you all, that for Vidura to insult Duryodhan, who is Yuvraj, but almost acting as a king, or taking up that, okay, he's the king. What do you think will be Duryodhan's response? Knowing from our previous scriptural study the character of Duryodhan, do you think Duryodhan will tolerate? Somebody? Somebody? What do you think will be Duryodhan's response? Do you think Duryodhan will tolerate?
No,
Duryodhan will not tolerate, because even he ignores Lord Krishna's Virat form. So he doesn't bother for anybody except his selfish interest.
Okay, very good. Both Srila Prabhu and Uncle. So Duryodhan's mind is revealed in the next two verses, verse number 14 and 15. But before we discuss Duryodhan's response, let's first pause here to discuss practical points from the discussion so far. So I'll summarize a few points from the Vidur Niti verses, as well as from the purport. We didn't read the purport right now for in essence of time. So the question is, what reasons does Vidura give for the following two questions? Question number one is returning the legitimate share of the kingdom to the Pandavas. And the second question is expelling Duryodhan. And these answers are coming from verse number 12 and 13. So let me give you key points. Vidura gave very good counsel to Dhritarashtra to make political alliance with the Pandavas, because Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is worshipable by all demigods, Brahmanas, is intimately related with Pandavas. Plus, Lord Sri Krishna and his family members of the Yadu dynasty were conquerors of all kings all over the world. Vidura wanted to impress upon Dhritarashtra that fighting with Pandavas was fraught with many dangers, because they were supported by Lord Sri Krishna, who had himself conquered, even in his childhood, demons like Kamsa. Therefore, all universal power is behind the Pandavas. So these are the reasons why Vidura said to Dhritarashtra to return the legitimate share of the kingdom to Pandavas. Now, the second question is, what's the reason Vidura gives for expelling Duryodhan? So Dhritarashtra is maintaining offense personified Duryodhana as his infallible son, even when Duryodhana is envious of Lord Krishna. Because Dhritarashtra is maintaining non-devotee of Krishna, hence Dhritarashtra is devoid of all auspicious qualities. Hence Dhritarashtra should relieve himself of this ill fortune as soon as possible and do good to the whole family. A good son is called apatya. So this is there in one of the purports, the word apatya. Apatya means who does not allow his father to fall down by offering sacrifices to please Vishnu. But if the son is already an enemy of Lord Vishnu, how can he offer sacrifice to Lord Vishnu's lotus feet in such inimical state? Duryodhana is inimical to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Shri Krishna. Hence, Duryodhana would not be able to protect his father Dhritarashtra after Dhritarashtra's death. Duryodhana himself was to fall down because of his faithlessness towards Lord Vishnu. How then can Duryodhana protect his father Dhritarashtra? Hence, Vidura advised Dhritarashtra to get rid of such an unworthy son as Duryodhana as soon as possible. If Dhritarashtra at all is anxious to see the good of his family. If son is not a devotee of the Lord, he is just like blind eyes, a source of trouble. Prabhupada gives this analogy of the blind eye in the purport, which I am explaining right now. That if the son is not a devotee of the Lord, he is just like a blind eye, meaning blind eyes are sources of trouble. And physicians may sometimes advise the extrication of such useless eyes from the sockets so that one can be relieved from the constant trouble. Duryodhana was exactly like the blind eye, troubling eyes, and Duryodhana would be the source of great trouble to Dhritarashtra's family is what is foreseen by Vidura. Vidura therefore rightly advised Dhritarashtra to get rid of this source of trouble. Dhritarashtra was wrongly maintaining such offense personified under the mistaken impression that Duryodhana was a good son able to liberate his father, meaning liberate Dhritarashtra. I'll pause here for any questions, comments, realizations, and after this we'll have a long discussion about practical aspects from the Vidur Niti verses.
Raviji,
Yeah.
From what you stated, I want to seek a small clarification. Duryodhana and Dhritarashtra saw the Virat form of Lord Krishna. Despite that Duryodhana was wrongly maintaining, Dhritarashtra was maintaining wrongly, ignoring Krishna.
Yeah.
So is it due to their past karma, or what is the reason?
So understand that this one of the reason is that this is one of the Leela of the God, that he wanted Bhagavad Gita to come. The second reason, which we have discussed in Bhagavad Gita at the start, that Duryodhana is an amsha of Kali personified, meaning he is a part of Kali personified, and Kali was to start. Plus the other reason is that Dhritarashtra in one of his previous life was a hunter where he had killed 100 chicks of a bird, and the bird had cursed Dhritarashtra that Dhritarashtra will see the death of his 100 sons. So Dhritarashtra had to wait for a few lifetimes to get piety to get 100 sons, because getting children is also some pious activities are required. So all these are reasons, plus the biggest reason was that they were envious because of envious of Krishna and Krishna's devotees, because of their own avidya from whatever past lives they were. So there are multiple factors that led to this situation, and we have discussed in Bhagavad Gita that even when Krishna showed the universal form to Duryodhana and Dhritarashtra, even when Dhritarashtra was blind, Dhritarashtra was still able to see the universal form. Krishna still does not interfere with the free will. So if you look through that, Krishna has gone to the Hastinapur assembly as Shanti Dut, and Duryodhana tried to arrest Krishna, and Krishna came back and there was war. So somebody may say, well, Krishna failed. No, Krishna did not fail. The point that acharyas have explained from this situation is that Krishna does not interfere with the free will, even when the free will of Duryodhana was going to lead to such a ghastly warfare of the Kurukshetra. Still, Krishna does not interfere with our free will. Does that help you?
Yes, Prabhuji, thank you.
Rest of you, questions, comments, realizations? Okay, have undivided attention as usual. My first question to you is, what are the learnings from the Vidur Niti verses? What can you think of? Quickly, we have a lot to cover. Nitya?
Prabhu, maintaining association with non-devotees will bring us ill fortune, especially association with those who are envious of the Lord.
Okay, very good, very good. What else?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
This is like too much attachment, Prabhu. Too much attachment to your own
Okay,
family.
okay, very good. What else? So your points are correct. There is one very important learning. I'm still looking for it. Somebody, what is the learning from the Vidur Niti verses? Okay, so Nitya and Shalini's answers are correct, and I will point to one of the point that has come up in multiple verses is about offenses. That offenses is very serious, and offenses against Krishna or Krishna's devotees, Krishna will not like it, Krishna will not tolerate. So the learning from these verses, so Vidura also started by saying, Dhritarashtra, you have offended Pandavas who are devotees of Krishna. So the learning from the Vidur Niti verses is do not offend Krishna or Krishna's devotees. Specifically, Krishna's devotee. I mean, Krishna is far away, but on a day-to-day basis, we interact with devotees. So the very important learning for all of us from the Vidur Niti verses is that do not offend Krishna's devotees. We'll discuss practical points on this from the situation that has actually happened from one of the devotee from our classes. So what is the application point? The question is, one question to help me, you all help me. My question is that we are among devotees. I mean, at the start, yes, we were between materialistic and devotees, but now over a period of time, we are generally surrounded by devotees. Most of our day is interacting with devotees. So my question for you all is, what is one point that you can tell me to remain fixed on Krishna, that Krishna is always with devotees? So that we do not go against Krishna and Krishna's devotees, give me one point to remind me so that I can remain protected to not offend Krishna's devotees and to avoid offensive situations. Somebody please help me, or everybody should try to answer. Everybody should try to be interactive. You all can unmute as long as you don't have background noise. Somebody please answer.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. I'll try.
Yeah.
Keep center the Krishna always in all actions, and remember Krishna on his thinking on his order, you activate your days and ins and outs of your actions. That is the
Okay,
only
yeah,
thing.
very good. Always remember Krishna. So I'd given you homework from the last class to prepare on few points. So that should also help you all in your answer. So continue, rest of you.
Yes, Prabhuji, always, even by discussing with devotees, Krishna's activities are discussed always.
Okay, so discuss Krishna's activities and nothing else. Okay, still I'm looking for one key point so that I do not do offenses. Sridhar Prabhu?
Be humble in all our actions, Prabhu. Humility is a key thing, and
Okay.
that will help. Hare Krishna.
Okay. Somebody else? I'm still looking for, give me one.
Two things I feel. One, you leave the place so that you don't offend, or say the Maha Mantra at the time.
Yeah, so leaving the place is an important answer I was looking for. But what did I say? I am always among devotees. So where am I going to go? I am surrounded by devotees. Where am I going to leave? Leave and go where? Right. Therefore, this is an important point that it's a philosophical answer, and we are discussing practical points here. Yes, philosophically you are correct, but I am always 24 hours among devotees. So if I leave and go where? Okay, rest of you.
Prabhu, consult scriptures and actions guided by scriptures. Try to.
Yeah. What are those actions is what I'm asking for.
Prabhu, when you offend somebody, what are your actions when you offend a devotee?
Yeah, so you are saying that follow scriptures. Yeah, that is valid, but tell me, what am I following from scriptures is what I'm looking for. My question is that I am surrounded by devotees. So give me one point so that I remain fixed on Krishna, so that I do not offend Krishna and I do not offend Krishna's devotee. I mean, Krishna is far, so that I do not offend Krishna's devotees. Give me one point. Nitya, you want to continue?
I'm not sure, Prabhu. Not be envious of the devotees, not be envious.
Okay. How do you put that in practice? We'll soon discuss that also very soon. That yes, in theory, I know I'm not supposed to be envious. Yes, Sridhar Prabhu said in theory, I know I'm supposed to be humble. What does that mean in practice? Your answers are correct in terms of philosophy. What does that mean in practice? Somebody else?
Prabhu, if I may try.
Yeah.
So we have to be tolerant and more submissive. And then in case of any difficult situation or discussion going.
Yeah, hold on your thought. It's an upcoming discussion about being tolerant. Hold on your thought for a few more minutes, and I will come back to Subro Prabhu and tell me. I will be describing few scenarios, and then you answer. Okay, rest of you, Radha Shakti.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, I think that
okay, the same point as being humble and being tolerant. Okay, what does that mean in practice? Hold on your thought together with Subro Prabhu. Okay, Shalini Gopal Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. So if one is a pure devotee or one is being following all the instructions and doing, then there's no question of getting offended or this.
Yeah, are you a pure devotee? Anybody here a pure devotee?
No, Prabhu.
Okay, then don't give me the answer of a pure devotee. Give me the answer that is applicable to me. Right? So your answer is correct. What am I going to do with that answer? Shalini, what will I do with your answer?
Correct, Prabhu. Prabhu, what about doing service for the devotees?
Okay, so you are on the right track. Okay, very good. Okay, let me answer. So while I'm grilling is, I will have a long discussion about this practical aspect right now. That what is the one tip, one method to follow so that I will never go against the devotees of Krishna? So what all you said are correct points philosophically, and how do you apply in practice is what I'm discussing here. First, understand that the reason as to why offenses happen. So you need to go to the root cause. My Guru Maharaj has explained that the root cause for offenses is inattentive chanting. So first you need to rectify your chanting. Therefore, the first step is to be very cautious while chanting and improve the quality of chanting. Try to chant in association of devotees. We need to associate with devotees that help us take forward on the path of spirituality. We definitely need to develop tolerance towards Krishna's devotee, and the one very important key point is to see good quality in others. So those from batch number 3 have most recently listened to the Chaitanya Chanda's lecture, and rest of you have also listened to the Chaitanya Chanda's lecture, that when you see bad qualities in others, it is actually the bad quality in you. It is just being manifested differently. So this point is very, very important. And if you go back to your how to avoid offenses note, I have discussed this point also, that see the good qualities in others. If you are not able to see the good quality in a devotee, instead of trying to talk about the bad quality, turn around and see the good quality in some other devotee. This way, you have protected yourself by not looking at the bad quality of some particular devotee at that point in time. In Canto 3, Chapter 1, verse number 13, in the third line in the verse, Vidura saying that Dhritarashtra has been maintaining someone who is against Krishna. Therefore, Dhritarashtra is devoid of auspicious qualities, meaning someone gives protection to one who is against Krishna or against Krishna's devotees, against Krishna's dham, against Krishna's pastime. If we try to protect such kind of people, meaning here the example is Duryodhan, and Duryodhan is offense personified, hence Dhritarashtra was devoid of all auspicious qualities. If one tries to protect someone who is against Krishna and Krishna's devotees, then he will lose all auspicious qualities. So what some of you already pointed out correctly, that in certain circumstances, it may be possible to leave that place where devotees are offending if you don't have the ability to counter the devotee who is offending. And then the other point explained is that the good son is apateya. Duryodhan is against Krishna and you are thinking that he is your son, but Duryodhan is going to be the cause of your fall down. This is what Vidura is saying to Dhritarashtra. Son against Krishna means causing the father to fall down, and therefore in verse number 13 purport, Prabhupada explains the analogy that eyes are important part of body. But if eye is giving trouble, then take the eye out. Hence, Srila Prabhupada is saying that take out Duryodhan, meaning remove the offense personified. So this is a very, very, very strict instruction that Srila Prabhupada is giving in the purport, that take the troubled eye out. So I have so far discussed the key learning, meaning do not offend Krishna or Krishna's devotees. And the way to do it is to always see the good qualities in others and always glorify the good qualities of others. Questions, comments, realizations?
Prabhuji, the last spiritual endeavor you had asked about, perpetrated. Perpetrated, what I understood that.
So hold on, that
The
discussion is coming
accuser.
up. Hold on, that discussion is coming up. You are correct, and it's my next discussion, so you can discuss that at that point in time. Okay, so I'm going to give you practical situation about these offenses that has happened at the temple. One of the devotee from our class, so I will not name names. I will describe two practical situations, meaning one is what you have to do and the other is what you don't have to do, what you don't have to do. So again, I'm not going to name names. This is one of the devotee. All of you know this devotee from one of our classes. So first I will describe my situation. That I myself, Ram Vilas Das now, Rajesh, I was very harsh to one of the devotee from our class. So we'll call this as devotee number 1. This devotee number 1 is right now present among us while we are discussing this class. So against whom? So I was very harsh against this devotee number 1, and this devotee number 1 is right now present among us in this class. So what this devotee did was, this devotee number 1 connected with me offline and said that that my words were a little harsh. So I apologized to this devotee because at that point in time, I did not realize that how I was under the control of Maya. And because of this, at that point in time, I did not know how I was acting under Maya. So later on, I realized, I got advice from senior devotee, from other devotee. And I apologize to this devotee. And I right now also, I again apologize that I'm sorry for what I did. So this is one of the situations that has happened among us, among the devotees within our class. So this is what we all should be doing. Meaning, if I am teaching you scriptures and if I am acting under Maya, so this is a learning opportunity for all of us. That it is not that just because we are under Krishna consciousness, that Maya will not be there. No, Maya will always be there until we become a pure devotee. Therefore, this is what you all should be doing. So this is not the only time this situation will happen or has happened, or this is not the only two individuals among which this situation has happened. This can happen and will happen among rest of us as well. So this is what you should be doing. That when a devotee, whether or not it is from our classes, talks to you in some harsh manner or something does which seems incorrect, you don't have to take the offense. So this devotee number 1 followed the learning from offenses to avoid class perfectly. That did not take the offense, which was good for me. Thank you. That I am still be able to continue the devotional service. So this is what we are supposed to do, that we are all trying to develop a relationship amongst us so that we can revive a relationship with Krishna. So just as in a family, that if you have some argument, you don't leave, you discuss and you come to a common ground. So I apologized and I apologize again. And you all also should follow this, that when something happens, you should discuss with senior devotee with guidance and also discuss with the devotee in the picture. Everybody on the same page so far? And then I will discuss the other side, the second scenario.
Prabhuji, I want to make a small observation. May?
Yeah.
By the mercy of the Lord, you have overcome Maya's influence by expressing regrets, which indicates your nobility, and you have shared a practical lesson to all of us. Leader sets example. Thank you.
Okay. So devotee number 2, I have undivided attention. Devotee number 2, again, I'm not going to name names. This devotee number 2 is from our classes, one of the batches. And all of you know this devotee number 2 personally. Because of envy and because of break of regulator principles, this devotee number 2 wrote an email to temple management with some made up statements against a person number 3 from the temple. So this person number 3 did not know that this devotee number 2 has made or has written this email with such made up negative statements, and this person number 3 did not know for more than a year that this devotee number 2 has made such negative statements in an email to temple management. So my question for all of you is, I request all to please step into the shoes of this person number 3 against whom this devotee number 2 has made some negative statements, and you tell me and we can discuss what would be your response. So you are right now stepping into the shoes of person number 3. What would be your response? Somebody quickly.
I won't bother about it. Let the truth come out. I'll wait for it.
Okay. Somebody else. Okay, very good.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Just forgive that devotee and just continue with the devotion services, Prabhu.
Okay, so very important point Shalini raised, to forgive. Forgive is when the person number 3 has taken an offense. So we discussed in the first scenario, and you go back to your notes from offenses to avoid, where I have said that if somebody does an offense against you, where's the question of forgiveness? You don't even take the offense. If you take the offense, then the devotee, here in the situation, devotee number 2 gets impacted by the offense. So the answer is that for person 3, in this scenario number 2, does not need to take it as an offense on the part of devotee 2. Hence, there is no question of forgiveness. Yes, still you will forgive when later on when you come. But even when this devotee, when this person number 3 was made aware of this situation, the person 3 said, okay, I have nothing to do with it. Right? If the person 3 says, okay, I forgive this devotee number 2, that means the person 3 took the offense, and that becomes a hindrance for devotee number 2 to progress on the path of spirituality, just as we discussed in the verses for Dhritarashtra and Duryodhan. Right? So what happened is that the spiritual master of this person number 3, against whom the negative statements were sent by email by this devotee number 2. So the spiritual master of this person number 3 did not chastise the person 3 at all, meaning the person 3 did not do anything wrong. And the spiritual master said to this person 3, whether this person 3 had seen this devotee 2 at the temple, meaning what happened was the spiritual master realized that it became an offense on the part of devotee number 2, even when person 3 did not know. And we discussed that whether or not somebody knows you have done the offense, it does not matter. Krishna knows. So this devotee number 2 has not been seen at the temple for quite some time. Why? Because of the offense. So you lose all your auspiciousness. Plus the third thing, the spiritual master of this person number 3 said to this person 3 that this person 3 actually acted correctly according to the scriptures. If person 3 had done something wrong, then the spiritual master would have corrected. No, the spiritual master did not correct at all. On the contrary, the spiritual master said to this person 3, actually acted correctly according to the scriptures, that you did not take any offense. You just continued your devotional services and let everything be taken care by authorities. So the learning is that whether or not anyone knows that you have offended or not, it does not matter, because Krishna knows, and Krishna does not like when someone offends his devotees. Therefore, I request all of you to do not offend anyone, specifically devotees. We have discussed it is only because of offenses that one can fall down even from the elevated level of Bhava Bhakti. Lastly, if there is any situation where you feel offended, just try to first talk to another devotee from our class or any senior devotee instead of acting under the control of senses. I am teaching you Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam scriptures, and still I always call upon from our classes, for example, Gopal Krishna Prabhu and other senior devotees for advice whenever is required. So you also please follow these instructions and understand the seriousness of offenses. So I had asked you to prepare about envy versus devotion from Bhagavad Gita 9.1. What have you prepared? What do you refresh your memory about envy and devotion?
Prabhu, if I might try, devotion is when you are filled with joy, and it brings you happiness. And envy is when you burn inside. And the difference in the way that you described was Lord Krishna never reveals himself to those who are envious.
Yeah, very good. So envy means we burn when somebody is glorifying Krishna. And those who are envious, they burn. Why are you talking about Krishna? Why are you glorifying Krishna? And devotion means devotees rejoice when somebody is glorifying Krishna. So this devotee number 2 did not get any different instructions. He was there in our classes where you all were also present. He's getting the same instructions, hearing the same Krishna Katha. But because of envy, he twisted and he was burning. And simultaneously, while doing services, the devotee is not getting any different instructions than rest of the devotees who are coming for services. But this devotee, because of envy, he was burning and ended up with writing these negative statements. Now, this break of regulative principles by this devotee number 2 is none of my business, although I had noticed this a long time ago, that this devotee number 2 had traveled during to some other place for his vacation, and surprisingly on his WhatsApp, this devotee had posted a picture. I think it was a picture or a video, I don't remember right now, and there was a caption. Now, if the caption was not there, I would have not known, but the caption said enjoying, and had a particular name which was very famous for that particular city. He wrote that enjoying so and so beer, which is famous from so and so city. Well, that is a break of regulative principle. So if you are trying to follow Krishna consciousness and simultaneously if you break regulative principles, Maya is not going to sit silent. Therefore, this devotee number 2, you can tell me if I am correct, acted purely under Maya, ended up being envious, and because of envy, ended up writing negative statements against a person number 3 to temple authorities. Everybody with me? Questions, comments, realizations? Before I ask you a couple more points on this point. My last question on this topic. We have studied from Bhagavad Gita, chapter 1, that we have to take guidance from Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. So my question for you all is that if you are having a challenge, so just as this devotee number 2 had a challenge with person number 3, do you go to the Guru? And if you go to the Guru, what will be the discussion with the Guru? Somebody please help me. We have studied this from Bhagavad Gita chapter 1, that Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra are my intelligence. So do you go to the Guru with this problem? And if you go to the Guru, what is it that you will be discussing with the Guru?
I will ask whether I am wrong in the approach.
You will ask, sorry, what will you ask? Whether you are?
When there is a situation of confrontation happens between me and somebody, I will ask my Guru that whether I have wrongly handled so that this event has taken place.
Okay.
What should I do to
Okay,
rectify?
very good. Okay, rest of you? Do you go to the Guru? And if you go to the Guru, what is the discussion you are going to have with the Guru? Silence, somebody? You understand the seriousness why I asked you all to attend this chapter? Somebody please help me. We have studied from Bhagavad Gita chapter 1. Guru. What will you do to the when you go to the Guru, if you are at all going to the Guru? Shalini, Gopal Krishna?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Shalini, go ahead.
Prabhu, definitely not the Guru, Prabhu, not at that position to approach a Guru, but definitely a senior fellow devotee in our group, Prabhu, would be approached.
Okay, so Siksha Guru, doesn't matter, you go to Diksha Guru or Siksha Guru. So you are saying you will go to Siksha Guru. Okay, very good. What
No,
are you
Prabhu,
going to talk about?
No, I am not even saying Siksha Guru, Prabhu. Another just elevated devotee in our group.
So that is a Siksha Guru. When you get any guidance from any devotee, whether young or old or doesn't matter, elevated or not, he is your Siksha Guru. So what are you going to talk to your Siksha Guru? What are you going to talk? Shalini, help me.
I think, Prabhu, I think if, with whatever amount of devotion services and whatever one has done, I think best is not to take any offense only, Prabhu, to let it be.
Yeah, that is correct. But you said you will go to a Siksha Guru. What is it that you are going to ask the Siksha Guru is my question.
I think just ask guidance about the situation, Prabhu.
Okay, ask guidance. Okay, Chandan Prabhu, very good.
Requesting the clarification for.
Okay, very good. Okay, Uncle was Nitya, he wants to say something.
Prabhu, we're talking about devotee 2. I think for devotee 2, if I mean putting myself in the shoes of devotee 2, having some envy or conflict, I don't think I would even ask anyone. I don't think that person is acting under the right influence. So devotee 2, I don't think even has devotee qualities. Sorry.
Yeah, so that is between him and Krishna. So that is not for us to judge. And this is a very important point that Nitya brought up. As soon as I will answer this, will come up. Okay. So Uncle wanted to mention something about a couple minutes ago. If you want, Uncle wants to respond at that point.
I will not think that I will not go to my Guru because professionally you encounter with people. So you respect from whom you have learned knowledge. So I will not have the ego that I will ignore, or when I am confronted, after all I am a human being.
Okay.
I will
so let me answer.
like to find out the right path.
Let me answer. So this is also very important practical that yes, philosophically we have studied, we have to go to the Guru, but then I also gave you the homework. What has Dharma taught us from Canto 1, Chapter 17? Somebody help me. What has Dharma taught us? The Dharma personified.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Like if we are going to identify the perpetrator, then we are the perpetrator ourselves.
Very good. So we become the perpetrator. Therefore, it is very important to understand what you go and speak with your Diksha Guru or Siksha Guru. So let me answer. Dharma has taught us to learn to tolerate. That Kali had heard Dharma, and Kali personified was standing right in front of Dharma when Parikshit Maharaj was wanting to know from Dharma as to who heard Dharma. Dharma replied, I cannot figure out whether it is my karma, whether it is my mind, whether it is nature, etc. So this is the nature of a devotee. The Vaishnava understanding and the conclusion is that nothing is possible without the sanction of the Lord. The devotees do not accuse wrongdoers because devotees understand that wrongdoers made to act for my karmic reaction, and the wrongdoers cannot act without the sanction of the Supreme Lord. Hence, the devotees learn to tolerate. So the devotees' attitude towards suffering is that even if devotees see mischief mongers, they do not accuse them for the sufferings inflicted, because one who identifies the perpetrator himself becomes the perpetrator. They take it for granted that mischief mongers is made to act by some indirect cause. Therefore, they means here it is devotees. Devotees tolerate the sufferings, thinking the sufferings to be God-given in small doses. Otherwise, my suffering should have been much greater. The Vaishnava devotee understanding that Supreme Lord is the ultimate sanctioner and witness. Hence, the devotees discharge their duties sincerely without being overly anxious for rewards. The bull, which is the Dharma personified, did not want to identify the perpetrator. So we need to learn this principle from the Dharma personified, who is religion personified, that devotee take the sufferings as God-given. And Bhishma Dev has also said in his prayers in 1.9.16 that no one can understand the plan of Krishna. Why Krishna puts devotee in trouble is because dealings of Krishna and devotees is not known. When devotees suffer, the mood of the devotee is Srimad Bhagavatam 10.14.8. Gopal Krishna will read this verse shortly. If you want to bring it up, 10.14.8, Tatte Anukampana. It's a very famous verse as to how the devotees are supposed to live in this material world when somebody does wrong to you. So suffering is for my own good. Whatever Krishna does is for my good. I deserve much more trouble. And also simultaneously remember Kunti Maharani's prayer. Kunti Maharani says in 1.8.25, let those calamities happen and again. And she uses suffering as an opportunity to remember Krishna. So devotee never thinks sufferings as suffering, but takes sufferings as benedictions for my own purification. Therefore, I will shortly describe that if you go to the Guru, what is it that you are supposed to do? Right now, I am discussing the philosophical references for my answer. So Krishna is teaching me to become humble for my purification. Hence, taking the incident as it is my karmic reaction. So when you go to the Guru, when somebody has done something wrong to you, with the Guru, don't go as a complaint against that devotee, the other devotee who has hurt you. Rather, go to the Guru and ask the Guru, what action I have to take for my purification. Do not go to the Guru with a complaint, and I'll give you an example for devotee number 4 and devotee number 5. So this is an additional situation that has happened here at the Toronto temple, that devotee number 4 came to me. So this is actual situation where a devotee number 4 came to me saying, I have a problem with devotee number 5. I am having a lot of challenges. What do I do? So I gave him multiple action items, and I told him to pick a choice, what works best for you. So he picked the choice to go to the Guru, because this was one of the suggestion I gave to devotee number 4 for a situation or some difficult circumstances with devotee number 5. So the suggestion that I gave to devotee number 4 is exactly what I'm just repeating and I just described, that don't go to the Guru with a complaint against devotee number 5. You can just describe a situation and then ask the Guru, please guide me. What should be my action? What is it that I have to do for my purification? How do I learn to tolerate I understand that this is my karma, and devotee 5 has been made to act by Krishna's will against devotee number 4, so that this becomes a learning opportunity for devotee number 4. I'll pause here for any questions, comments, realizations. Everybody on the same page? Everybody understands what is it that you will do when somebody does anything wrong against you?
Prabhuji, I seek a small clarification. 117 and point 22, the essence what I learned from spiritual endeavor. No one is directly responsible for being a benefactor or a mischief monger without the sanction of the Lord.
Correct.
In other words, benefit or loss is God sent. That's how we should take, correct?
Repeat your last statement.
In 1.17.22,
Yeah.
you were mentioning about just now about 1.17.
Yeah.
The essence what I understood is no one is directly responsible for being a benefactor or a mischief monger without the sanction of the Lord.
So,
In other words, benefit or loss is God sent. That's how we should take it.
okay, so for any, we have discussed in Bhagavad Gita, for any activity to happen in the material world, there are 5 causes. So it's not that anyone is not responsible. Whatever bad happens to me, I am responsible based on my past karma. So you cannot say nobody is responsible. No, we are responsible for our own actions. But for any activity to happen, there are 5 things that come together. The Jiva desires, Krishna sanctions, material nature executes, and then you have the senses and the endeavor itself. So you cannot say that there is no one responsible. Rather, the learning is that the devotees learn to tolerate and do not identify the mischief mongers, because if you identify the perpetrator, then you yourself become the perpetrator. That's the learning. That don't go to the Diksha Guru or Siksha Guru or any other devotee with a complaint against anyone. Rather, take it as a Krishna's benediction for my learning. How I can become humble in this situation, how I can learn to tolerate. So many of you gave these philosophical answers that I have to learn to tolerate, I have to learn to become humble. Yes, I'm giving you practical situations of how to apply. Everybody on the same page? I request all of you to please talk to me.
Thank you.
This is very important
you.
learning from this chapter.
I understood the finer intricacies. Thank you.
Rest of you, everybody, please talk to me.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, I just had one question.
Yeah.
Regarding devotees, and with devotees it is understood, but in the material world also, Prabhu, do we follow the same? How do we manage that?
So yeah, you don't apply in black and white in the material world. You have to apply the principles according to time, place, and circumstances. We have discussed being humble does not mean you let anyone trample you. Srila Prabhupada has given a perfect definition of being humble in Bhagavad Gita chapter 13 verses 8 to 12. I think it's paragraph number 2, 1 or 2. It's at the very start of the purport. Prabhupada says humility means not to be anxious to receive honor, meaning we do our task without being anxious to receive honor. So how do you apply this in the material world where we are in a corporate environment, and say you are a team lead or you are a team member, but team lead is more easier to understand the point about humility, that if you are a team lead and your goal is the success of the project. So to become humble, you need to learn and you need to be goal-centered rather than your ego-centered. So for the success of a project, if a junior team member comes up with a alternative solution for the project, and if you are humble, then you will accept that junior's suggestion. Why? Because you are humble. Humble means you are purpose focused. If you are focused on your ego, you will say, no, I am the project lead. Who are you to give me suggestion? I will follow my process, whether or not the project is successful. Therefore, humility in the material world means as long as you are purpose focused. And the purpose is, your purpose of human life is to go back home, back to Godhead. So whatever it takes to maintain your body and soul together in the material world is what you will do. But understand, humility does not mean that you let everyone trample you. Shalini, does that help you?
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu.
Okay, very good. Rest of you, everybody on the same page?
Prabhu, if I may just ask a follow-up, I think this discussion among devotees and you giving us practical examples very helpful. To me, I feel like it sets the guidelines or a principle that all of us can follow, right? Because we're all devotees or in the path of devotional, learning and devotional service. The second thing is that sometimes, we're not, our intent is not to offend someone, but something we do is offensive, right, to someone. We don't intend, we didn't write something or say something, but it is offensive, but we didn't realize. So how does that work when we are not intending, but it happens?
Yeah, you are absolutely correct. So in the practical scenario which I described, where I did something wrong to a devotee who is personally present right now among us, I did not intend at that time to be offensive, but Maya is very strong. So the solution is, so if you go back, this is why I had asked you to prepare from the offenses to avoid class. What is it that you do when you offend someone, and what is it that you do when somebody offends you? So we have discussed at great length that when somebody offends you, what do? You ignore. Otherwise, you will take the offense against the devotee, and the devotee is negatively impacted. And when you offend someone, knowingly or unknowingly, we have discussed that first you ask for forgiveness by offering obeisances. And this asking for forgiveness, so that it is not just lip service of saying, I am sorry, like 1,000 times and 1,001 times again doing a mistake, and then saying 1,001st time again sorry. What was the value of the previous 1,000 times sorry? And what is the value of this 1,001 times sorry if I'm going to continue? So just so that it is not lip service sorry, you do some service to this devotee against whom you have offended, so that you don't have any envy. You are genuinely saying, you know what, I was under the control of Maya, and this is an upcoming discussion in later part of this chapter, most likely in next class. And this is what Vidura will also teach us from what Duryodhana has done to him. So what you do is ask for forgiveness, offer obeisances, and say, I'm genuinely sorry. Please let me know how I can serve you, and serve that devotee. That is genuine humility. That is genuine forgiveness, or genuine asking for forgiveness, not forgiveness, but genuinely asking for forgiveness. You know what? I am really, really sorry. Nitya, does that help you?
Yes, Prabhu, it does.
Okay. Gopal Krishna Prabhu, if you want to read 10.14.8, that's what I was describing, is how devotees have to live in this world.
Hare Krishna, 10.14.8 translation. My dear Lord, one who earnestly waits for you to bestow your costless mercy upon him, all the while patiently suffering the reactions of his past misdeeds and offering you respectful obeisances with his heart, words, and body, is surely eligible for liberation, for it has become his rightful claim. Hare Krishna.
Right. So patiently suffering the reactions of past misdeeds. So whether it's a devotee doing something to us or somebody else, we have to change our thought process that this negative incident against me is Krishna's way of teaching me by giving me a very small dose of my suffering. Actually, my suffering should be much more. Questions, comments, realizations?
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prerna.
This is one of the most profoundly enlightening discussions I've ever had.
Yeah,
I cannot thank you enough.
Yeah, hold on. Very good realization. Hold on till you hear the next two classes because this has just started. I was actually supposed to discuss the second part of this discussion today, but we are very close to the end time for our class today. And this next discussion is also super heavy. And not only next, but the further discussion in this chapter ones are heavier in greater degrees one by one. But very good realization, Prerna.
Prabhu, I also want to mention here that I want to join Srimad Bhagavatam from the beginning, Canto 1.
Yeah, so in your batch, so soon batch number 3 will be after you finish this this session of Canto 3 chapter 1, you will then join batch number 4 for completing Bhagavad Gita chapter 18, which is left over. Then in the combined batch number 3 and 4, we will finish Nectar of Instruction, Nectar of Devotion, and Shishopanishad. And then I think it is around May of coming year is when Srimad Bhagavatam will start for the combined batch number 3 and 4 where you are, where you will definitely hear Srimad Bhagavatam is very, very practical.
Yeah, exactly, Prabhu. How to live life without hurting others, yet protecting self, and looking at it the way you suggested, that if we are experiencing negativity, then we must remember it is Sri Krishna's way of teaching us or purifying our soul.
Very good realization, very good hearing with rapt attention, even though Prerna did not read any verses today because we could only read so many verses. Okay, very good, and very good desire to hear Srimad Bhagavatam in devotee association. Srimad Bhagavatam will create a revolution in you and transform you completely. Srimad Bhagavatam teaches us what to do and what not to do with live practical examples. Yeah, very good. Everybody on the same page?
Prabhuji, I just want to share with you the last spiritual endeavor, which you call, is a prelude to today's discussion. In fact, I honestly made a lot of effort to understand, and you have clarified in this session many things, what I read as a homework. Thank you. It was really a nice topic you chose and enlightened us. Thank you so much.
Very good for doing your spiritual endeavor. It is this endeavor, this spiritual endeavor is what is going to purify you. So I was actually supposed to cover at least the next two verses, 14 and 15, where Duryodhana comes and starts responding to Vidura, and that also is a very heavy discussion. And I will describe practical scenarios similar to how we discuss practical scenario for the first part. The next there are many more heavy learnings in this chapter 1. And therefore, I asked all of you from the other batches also to join. I'm hoping all of you can realize the importance why I asked you to join this Canto 3 chapter 1 out of sequence, even though you have not yet studied Canto 1 and Canto 2 so far. Everybody, from at least from the other batches and even from these batches?
Yes, Prabhu, definitely can see it. And I think Srimad Bhagavatam, yes, said we have to start from Canto 1, but I think standalone also it makes sense. I don't know.
So
that's what I feel.
You are correct that when you are reading Bhagavatam, in the introduction of Srimad Bhagavatam, Prabhupada has clearly said, not only introduction, in the later chapters, Parikshit Maharaj also, in one of the purport, Parikshit Maharaj also explains and sets an example how you are supposed to read Srimad Bhagavatam is in sequence. But when you are attending a class which is facilitated by a particular speaker, and your class is not in sequence, that is also okay, because you will ask questions on what you don't understand, and that way you are not really missing out on the previous topics. And actually, this is why I had given you the homework from last class, where you had read or prepared on few points, which is exactly what we discussed today. All the points I had asked you to prepare was, for example, nectar of devotion, offenses, then envy versus devotion, then Canto 1, Chapter 17 was about perpetrator. The one point that I did not discuss was how Krishna gives remembrance and forgetfulness. Anybody remembers what did you prepare? How and why Krishna gives forgetfulness and remembrance?
Yes, Prabhu. I think this comes from 15.15.
Yeah.
When we want to serve Lord Krishna and we want to stay on the path of devotional service, he gives us forgetfulness of our material desires so we can continue in the path. But when we entertain desires, enter the desires and we want to attain them, then Lord Krishna gives us forgetfulness of our spiritual desires.
Very good. So in the example that I had given, where devotee number 2 had written a negative statement against person number 3 to temple authorities, what was this devotee doing? I mentioned to you about his break of regulatory principles. I mean, if he's posting a picture or a video on his WhatsApp for break of regulatory principles, what else is he not doing? That is none of my business. I'm just highlighting for our learning. So what has happened is, this forgetfulness of scriptural study is what Krishna gave to this devotee number 2, because he said, you know what, I want to enjoy. Right? So everything that I asked you to do is what we have actually discussed in terms of how it practically comes into play. Okay, let me give you homework and we will continue this heavy discussion at least for the next 3 class, 2 for sure, could be the 3rd class also. Okay, homework question. What reasons does Vidura give for the below 2 questions? Question number 1 is, question number A, returning the legitimate share of the kingdom to the Pandavas. And B, what reasons Vidura give for expelling Duryodhana? Both these come from verse number 12 and 13. So we have covered up till verse number 13, and the next is you read the purports up to verse number 13. You can read the whole chapter if you like, but at least up till verse number 13, it is very deep in the purports also, and bring your questions, comments, realizations. Are we okay to stop here and we'll continue the discussion in our following class? It's just a continuation. I was actually supposed to discuss today, but in essence of time and because it is heavy, I don't want to rush through it. Are we okay to stop here?
Yes, Hare Krishna.
Hare
Yes,
Krishna.
Prabhu.
Thank
Hare
you.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.